What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame show powered by BetUS. Today, the Blazers lose a shootout in Indianapolis as they fall to the Indiana Pacers 121 to 114. This was a game that saw the Blazers score the ball. They actually scored the ball today. Pretty well by their low standards so far this season, but the defense doesn't show up. The Blazers without Robert Williams and Donovan Clingan don't get the job done on that end of the floor, and they lose after Tyrese Halliburton pours 28 on them. Pascal Siakam, 24. Those two guys took over this game in the fourth quarter after Benedict Mathurin went off in the first three quarters for the Pacers. He was impressive. But still, this was a competitive game against a team that was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. The Blazers had moments of three-guard lineups with Simons, Sharp, and Scoot. And it looked pretty decent offensively, and there are some good games, good performances to talk about in this one. Also, we will unveil our first big boards of the season. So if you're excited for some draft talk, we have it for you, and I'm excited for that myself. Eric, how's it going, man?
Well, not too bad. At least this wasn't a blowout loss. We fought till the end, but yeah, still a loss nonetheless, I guess.
I mean, at the end of the year, this may be a loss that we're happy for, right? And right now, I'm happy that this team came out and actually scored the ball. Defensively, they've been playing pretty good until this, so, you can kind of accept this one. I mean, Indiana was one of the best offensive teams in the league last year, and they are better at home because Tyrese Halliburton is much better at home, and he is the engine of that offense. It was just nice to see them actually make some shots and go run for run pretty much the entire game for Indiana. Indiana just got the last one. And it is a loss for the Blazers. But they shot well. The biggest thing from this game that lost them the game was the offensive rebounds. The Blazers, last I checked, gave up 19 offensive rebounds. It might have been a little bit more than that, but it was...
Sort of finished at.
Yeah, it was a brutal day on the defensive glass, and that has been a problem for this team. It's becoming the biggest problem for this team. Giving up 19 offensive rebounds to Indiana. And it's not like Indiana missed a lot of shots. They shot 40% from three, 49% from the field. So that's what did the Blazers in, because the Blazers shot well themselves. 46% from three, 51% from the field. That is a great shooting night by the Portland Trailblazers, especially considering Shaedon Sharpe went 1 for 7 from three. So lots of good to talk about from this game despite the loss.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pretty entertaining game too. It was fun. But yeah, I'd say the offensive rebounding by the Pacers definitely doomed us. And then it cleaned up in the second half at least, but in the first half, man, how many passes did we have just like right to a Pacer player?
Yeah, it was brutal. DeAndre Ayton had 4 turnovers. One was like this lob pass to half court that was an over and back. 2 of them were the same exact pass up the floor to the top of the arc. That was a turnover going the other way. And Indiana will get out and run, so you do not want to give them live ball turnovers. The Pacers in this game, 15 fast break points to Portland's 4.
Yeah.
To Portland's 4 fast break points. 4 fast break points is pretty brutal for the Blazers. They have played at a little bit of a faster pace so far this season, but in this game they couldn't get out and run. But it was fine because they were actually scoring in the half court, which we've talked about it. The Blazers so far this season have been the worst half court offense. That was not the case tonight. They made shots, but also when you have Scoot back, you have Simons finally playing well, his best game of the season offensively. And Sharpe, like I said, 1 for 7 from 3, but he was 8 for 19 from the field. He made some things happen in this one. And when you're playing those 3 guys together, playing some Delano Banton, you should be able to score the ball a little bit. And that's what we saw from this Blazer team today. Denny Avdia, a good offensive game, 16 points, 7 assists, only 2 turnovers, 6 for 12 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3 for him. It's good to see him playing well. And Ayton was 7 for 10. So, this was a more offensive lineup, and you saw the Blazers actually convert some buckets. Just would have been nice to get a stop. Would have been nice to get a defensive rebound, and this feels like a game they could have won on the road at Indiana. This would have been another good win on the record. They've played one of the hardest schedules in the league, but when you play a good offense and you're not capable of putting 130 on the board and you give up 19 offensive rebounds, it's really hard to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but didn't we sweep them last year?
We tend to
Or
do
was that
pretty
two
well
years
against
ago?
Indiana.
Yeah.
It was last year or 2 years ago, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I thought one of the things that really stood out to me, Adam Smits mentions this in chat, but I had a little different twist on it. He said, I was perplexed why Billups waited till 5:30 to bring Simons back into the game in the fourth. Either Banton, Scoot, or Sharp weren't doing anything amazing, one out. Um, I actually thought, because when they did that, they went small. They took Aiton out for when Simons went in. And I not necessarily Aiton going out, but I thought going small was the wrong play there because Siakam and Turner had killed them on switches, and their size had been an issue with getting mismatched on guards. And I thought that was the kind of I know we still had a chance to win, but the final nail in the coffin was just allowing them to continue that the whole rest of the game instead of putting Tamani back in or somebody who might have been able to limit that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Tamani hit a couple straight threes in the fourth quarter, which was nice to see, considering he's struggled shooting the ball lately. His minutes saw a little bit of a dip. He did have 4 fouls. He played 24 minutes in this game. I do agree going small there probably wasn't the right move when you're giving up that many offensive rebounds, but I don't know. It's not like they were rebounding much better with Aiton in the
Right?
lineup.
Yeah, that's what I just
Also, yeah, also, even with Aiton in the lineup, they were switching far too much.
yeah.
That was a game plan issue. Like, I think they definitely should have maybe tried to switch up some pick and roll coverages and not resort to just lazily switching like they did because, you had some possessions with like Scoot, Gardner, Siakam, and that's just not going to go well. And when you're playing Simons, Sharp, and Scoot, you don't have much switchability out there onto bigger guys like Turner or Pascal Siakam. When you're playing Kamara at the 2 and Avdia at the 3 and Grant at the 4, you have that switchability and you can switch up on pick and rolls. But when you go small, and we've said this, we talked about this back when the Blazers were starting Dame, CJ, and Norman Powell, you cannot switch screens the way that you can with bigger lineups, with more switchable defenders. So you got to figure out a way to not get stuck in those mismatches. I think the Blazers kind of struggled with that. I think some of the offensive rebounding was due to Aiton or Avdia guarding all the way out on the perimeter, and then you have Simons and Sharp and Scoot trying to battle underneath. Some of it was guys knocking each other off rebounds. Some of it was hustle. Some of it was poor boxing out. Like, there was a bunch of things that contributed to the offensive rebounding number, but I think in a game like this, you can clearly point to, man, they were playing out of mismatches too much, and they were trying to box out bigger guys on the glass, and sometimes you can box out, but that doesn't mean that that player's not going to get the ball simply because they're bigger than you. So it's always frustrating when the Blazers play out of mismatches for the majority of a game and seem to invite those mismatches upon themselves. I'd rather go down swinging, like trying to hedge or trap or something like that and watching that backfire than to just see us kind of lazily switch and then struggle with the results of that.
Absolutely. And so we have been getting away with it because we had several lineups with like Denny, Jeremy, Tamani, those guys, Chris Murray, all guys who, when you have three of them in the game at a time, you can switch and be fine. And those guys are smart enough to recover and all that kind of stuff. So it had been working, but then when you shift to the three guards, they have to adjust that. They can't just keep doing what they do when they have those switchable defenders in the game. So they're going to have to find a way to do that, because I said this a lot during the off season. I'm all for just letting Scoot, Sharp, and Anthony figure it out on the floor, and this season isn't really meaningful in terms of wins, losses, in my opinion. So I'd rather see them try and see if they can get comfortable with each other and learn how to play all in the court together. And but you can't do that if you're gonna be switching them on to when a team has guys like Siakam who just kill you if you switch a smaller player onto him. You can't just continue to do that for the entire game. And way to make an adjustment, Chauncey, right? Yeah. Like the same thing hurt us the whole game. We never really did anything different to stop it. But I did notice, this drives me crazy, Tori. There was at least 4 times I saw where Ayton was guarding. He ended up like on a guard who would go out to the corner, and a bigger player would cut by him on a smaller guy, or the bigger player like Turner would be at the elbow extended or something, and Ayton just stands there, doesn't like. There was at least 4 times he could have easily switched back, and we could have gotten a bigger defender on even with the way we were switching. And one time, I don't know if I can't remember if it was Anthony or Scoop, but one time they were like almost pulling a Chris Paul, yelling at him to switch, and he still didn't register that he needed to switch or whatever. And that kind of stuff just kills you when you're trying to play a team like Indiana who takes advantage of those kind of things.
You know who does a good job of that? Robert Williams and Donovan Clingan, especially Donovan Clingan, though. Donovan Clingan will see that, instantly communicate it, switch out of mismatches. So if you're going to play 3-guard lineups, I think it's better to play with Donovan Clingan. I mean, I think Donovan Clingan is a more impactful center than DeAndre Ayton, but especially for a 3-guard lineup. Number one, because those guys can just overplay the perimeter, and even if they are a little bit smaller at like the small forward position, if teams try and punish you, get downhill, at least you got an elite rim protector behind you to kind of make up for a little bit of that mess. But then also when you get stuck in some mismatches, because when you're playing smaller, when you're playing 3 guards, you're going to end up with more mismatches. Even if you're not necessarily switching screens, against a team that runs like Indiana, you got to get back, and sometimes you can't guard who you're supposed to match up with. Sometimes you're going to get cross-matched, which means you're guarding somebody other than your designated matchup. Just because, you know, if you're Shaedon Sharpe and you're the first guy back, and Miles Turner for some reason is the first guy down the floor, and he's running to the rim and then leaks out to the corner, like, you can't just leave him because he can shoot threes, he can, you know, he's a big man running to the rim. Like, you got to guard him if you're Shaedon Sharpe. And sometimes you're not able to switch out of that. So you're going to end up in some mismatches, you know. And another scenario is if a team moves the ball and you have to help and rotate. When you rotate to a different guy. So you end up with different matchups there. And when you're playing 3 guards, you're going to end up with more of those mismatches just out of situations that maybe aren't even like your fault, like switching would be. And when you end up with those mismatches, it's really good to have a big man that can see opportunities as the possession goes on to switch you out of those mismatches. Because they're the back line of the defense, they're the eyes of the defense, they're the number one communicator, basically the quarterback of the defense, and that's what I think Donovan Clingan has done a really good job of so far this season, is being a communicator, being the quarterback of that defense. And he's somebody that switches out of mismatches and will get the Blazers like a little bit more organized defensively. That is something that Ayton has never really been known for, and that's one of the little things, because when I talk about Clingan, I always say, oh, he does all the little things, but sometimes I feel like maybe I don't elaborate on those enough. That is one of the little things that Donovan Clingan does.
Absolutely. And I agree with, I forgot who was saying it, I think it was multiple people. If we just had one of those 2 in this game, I think we win.
Yep. Agreed. Player of the game, Anthony Simons. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Let's see here. You want to just talk about player performances? Because
sure.
part of me just wants to go through this game so we can start talking about our big boards. Not gonna lie. So Anthony Simons, you know, this is finally him having a good game when you're here. So I'll let you talk about him tonight, because he looked like last year's Anthony Simons today. He shot the ball well, made some jumpers, made some mid-range shots, got on a little bit of a heater there. Somehow was a team worst -15 in the 10 minutes without him on the floor. The Blazers outscored the Pacers by 8 points. So for all those people that hate Anthony Simons and that's their agenda, they can cling on to that, right? But you can't put too much stock in one game of plus minus. What do you think of Ant tonight?
First three quarters, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. It was good to see him not only shoot the ball well, but we had those turnover issues in the first half, and he finished the entire game without a turnover. So you like to see that. 6 assists, 0 turnovers. Take that every time. He had a really nice cross-court pass to Scoot for a 3. A nice dump-off pass to Ayton for a dunk. I thought he did a pretty good job. He actually, a couple of his drives, he showed some shiftiness, Tori. Did you notice that?
Yeah, there's a little bit in there somewhere, man.
Yeah. But no, I was happy. I was happy that he played well. Man, it kind of sucked when he came back in. I don't know if it just, like Adam Smith said earlier, sitting almost 7 minutes into the fourth quarter. I don't know if that was the best strategy, but yeah, I think he only made one shot once he came back in, missed like 3 in a row. Got a really good look down 6 for a 3, and then Halliburton hits like a 3-pointer contested 10 feet behind the line. Unfortunately, it's just the way it goes sometimes. But yeah, I thought it was a really good game for Anthony overall, and he was a big reason why we were winning for part of this game.
Yeah, it looked like he got some confidence back. 10 for 21 from the field, 6 for 12 from 3. He missed those 2 free throws late, which is a bummer, man. And the broadcast was talking about Denny Avdia kind of consoling him. He did have 6 assists, no turnovers, which I love to see that as well. And this is a terrible Indiana defense, so it's not really a surprise that we actually had a decent offensive game against this terrible defense. But still, I think for somebody like Ant, who doesn't matter what type of defense he's playing, he can't make an open 3, hasn't been able to do much. This is 2 out of 3 games where he scored the ball well, so hopefully it's him starting to kind of get his groove back. And even if you don't believe Anthony Simons should be here long term, even if you don't believe he should be part of the future, you should be hoping he plays well, because he kind of played his way to having absolutely no trade value, in my opinion. I said last offseason that I think his trade value is lower than what people think it should be, or what people would expect back for Anthony Simons. And then after his slump to start the season, he was just lowering his trade value to the point where I don't think the Blazers could have really gotten much back at all for him. So even if you want him gone, the only way he's going to end up being gone is via trade. And the only way the Blazers are going to trade him is if they can get something back for him. So he needs more nights like these. He needs to have some big scoring performances, some efficient nights, get that 3-point percentage back up. Nice to see him 6 for 12. And, we'll see if he can string together more games like this and just prove that, yeah, that first 15 games was a slump. Because right now it's like either his first few games were a slump or he overachieved last year. It's one of the two. So hopefully he can turn this into some bigger nights going forward. Defensively, there was a couple of really bad, mental lapses.
He had one, he fell asleep, yeah.
Yeah, I got back cut, so still don't like to see those. I know he's not going to be the best defender in terms of his tools, but he can at least lock in to the point where he doesn't get back cut, doesn't fall asleep. So that was kind of the one position that really stood out to me there.
Yeah, we had a cat appearance in the background. That was cool.
Yeah, the cat wants to come in here now. It took the cat a while to want to come in here, but now it's coming in and sleeping under the desk. So just leaving the door open so it can go back and forth.
Yeah, and I see a lot of talk in chat about the way the ball doesn't move with Anthony. But the Blazers had 31 assists tonight, and
you guys don't think
17 in the first half. I thought the ball was moving fine. Just for someone on a heater, the way he was, I don't think he really forced that many shots.
No, I thought the ball moved completely fine. A lot of times the ball movement resulted in Anthony Simons' three, or there's a play where Simons hit Scoot in the corner on a cross-court pass, which was nice. I don't know. I don't think the ball movement was a problem at all tonight. They scored 114 points and 31 assists. Like, they weren't getting that many assists when Ant was out, right? They rely a lot on offensive rebounding, and they play in isolation too much. We know that. Do you guys really think the ball movement was bad tonight? Because I just disagree with that. 31 assists on 44 made shots is really, really good assist percentage for the Blazers right there.
Yeah, I think maybe people like Terminus is saying that maybe they're just thinking about the fourth quarter when he comes in and misses those 3 shots in a row.
Yeah, but I mean it's been a problem no matter who. So if it's like, oh, it was a problem for us part there in the fourth, like every single game, no matter if Ant plays or not, this team goes through lulls where they get extremely stagnant. So I don't think Anthony Simons should be blamed for that.
I still think a lot has to do. There's just way too much standing around in our offense. Way too many dribble handoffs that lead nowhere. Like all those things are still an issue in my opinion.
You know how I know that we are right in our criticisms of Chauncey Billups' half-court offense with all the dribble handoffs and all that is because I went on Rip City Reddit and saw a bunch of Redditors who normally Rip City Reddit disagrees with anything we have to say. Sometimes it seems like they just disagree just to disagree with us. They're saying the same exact stuff, man. Like it's pretty commonly accepted that the structure of this offense is a joke, and the dribble handoffs, they run far too many. They initiate their action way too far out. They don't really gain advantages off of the stuff that they run. Oftentimes it results in somebody with the ball in their hands on the perimeter having to figure out what to do after a set doesn't work. So, it's I think you can blame Chauncey for any stagnant offense with this team. I'm kind of over blaming individual players. I'll blame individual players if they're missing wide open teammates and making bad decisions, making bad shots, but our offense produces that type of basketball, unfortunately. So when somebody has it going all game and comes in the fourth and tries to be aggressive in that style, I'm not going to blame them at all.
Yeah. Once again, it's just we saw this for years under Stotts. It's kind of what our offense devolves into in the fourth, too. It's not like we have some sort of action that generates a good shot or something. Or how about using the attention he's getting by scoring 28 points through 3 quarters to get someone else an open shot? It's not like he had options or something, or missed like wide open players on some of his drives or something,
Yeah, absolutely. But Simons had a good game. You love to see that. Scoot Henderson was great off the bench. 6 for 11. He made his return. He had, that car accident that he was in and all that. 6 for 11 from the field. 3 for 4 from 3. 3-point percentage up to 32%. Okay, we're like right in line with last year. All right, hopefully that continues, man. It's nice to see him shoot well. That one miss was an air ball where he was like just left unguarded off the dribble. You don't like to see that, but the catch and shoot stuff looks good right now. He only had 1 turnover, had 9 assists. 6 for 11 from the field. 17 points. 9 assists, 1 turnover. That's a really great statistical game from Scoot. So really happy with him and Anthony Simons actually playing off each other a little bit and it looking good.
Yeah, man, Scoot was really good, especially in the first half. Just did a really good job of setting the table. And I loved he had one move where in the past, he kind of forced up a bad shot on the left side with his right hand. Yeah. And he came back under the hoop and used the rim to shield the defender from blocking the shot. And thought that was hopefully a nice evolution in him learning how to finish a little better, because that's a kind of move we haven't really seen too often from him in that situation. So I was happy to see that. He had a really nice play there. He got fouled on in the second half, almost stealing an inbound pass. Just really, he made plays almost the entire game, and good to see him knock down the threes when he got them. Um, should we talk about the one he missed, Tori? We're 20 minutes now.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No. I mean, like, he almost played a perfect first half. He was 4 for 5, like 6 assists, no turnovers, air balls a 3, like, okay. Yeah. Listen, if he wants to make 3 threes and airball 1, I'll take that, right? Like,
Right.
it's a bad miss. Obviously, the ball slipped. Every time you miss a shot, the ball isn't coming off your hand exactly right? And sometimes it's going to slip more than others, and you're going to miss the rim by more. And, the best shooters always seem to be close, right? Okay, he airballed. He made his other 3 threes. Completely fine. Like, I do not really care about the fact that he airballs. Yes, it's kind of embarrassing. I care more about he's 2 for 6 from the free throw line. And in a close game like this, you got to make more of your free throws. We saw Ant miss 2, and we saw Scoot miss 4, and that's not good.
2 for 6, yeah.
Now, Scoot, this season, 81.6%. Last season, I think he was 82%. Yeah, so he's like been consistently at least an 81, 82% free throw shooter, which is better than I expected coming into the league, given he wasn't known as a jump shooter and maybe had questions about his touch there. So that's fine. It's going to be down after this game, though. That's not good to go 2 for 6 from the free throw line. He missed a pair, and you just can look at the guards and missing some of those free throws as maybe the difference in this game, because with how close the Blazers kept it, man, you got to make more of your free throws. They were 10 for 17, 59% as a group.
Yeah, hit 4 or 5 or 6, even 6 of those missed free throws by those 2, and we're right there having a shot to win.
Yep, absolutely. Sharp, there's a donation. Shout out to Oscar, $2 donation, says, need Sharp to be assertive. Feel like he waits too long. Thank you, Oscar, for the $2 donation. 3-point shot wasn't there today. He had some games where he was shooting better from 3, but still on the season, Eric, I mean, he's just not a good 3-point shooter yet. He was 1 for 6 last game, 1 for 7 today, so that's 2 for 13. He's just prone to slumps. He's just prone to shooting slumps, man. The mid-range shot has fallen off. That was unsustainable, though. He started off this season like hitting a crazy amount of mid-range shots. He was never going to sustain that, and I don't know, man. He just has to find consistency as a shooter because he's struggled with that his entire career.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times when he misses jump shots or threes, he's just like unbalanced when he goes to shoot them, and he's fading backwards, or his feet aren't set right, and you can almost tell, at least shooting 3-point shots, if it has a chance of going in or not. Now, of course, he's an NBA player, so you can still make some, even if you're shooting at bad angles or have bad footwork or whatever. But like when he gets the ball, shoots like with a firm base, and then like has good form and doesn't like fade back or anything, like I feel like it's almost always going in those situations, and then it's all the other times when it's kind of up in the air whether he's going to make it or not, because it's just so erratic what he does with his feet and his body every time he shoots. I kind of compare it to Nas. Like Nasir Little had times where his form started to look great, and he would go straight up, and it was real compact, and it was like, okay, if Nas can shoot like this consistently, he could turn a corner. And then like a minute later, you're seeing him flail out his foot and shoot some crazy 3-line drive, and it just it's just
wait. There's a comment in chat. Feet has nothing to do with the shot, Jimmy. That is so far from the truth. Have you ever shot before, my guy? Like, footwork has a ton to do with your shot, man. A ton to do with your shot. Why don't you turn 90 degrees and have your feet pointing like 90 degrees from the hoop and try and shoot? Come on, man. Tori, that's a troll. I will respond to the trolls. That is definitely I hope it's trolling because, yes, feet have a ton to do with the shot. As you're saying, Eric, like, I just want to add this, and you can go on. Part of being a really gifted shooter is being able to shoot the ball in suboptimal situations. Maybe that's you're running to the right and catching it on the move, or like you're catching it with somebody kind of close and you're having to turn directly into your shot, right? Like, it's one thing to always be able to line it up. It's different to be able to shoot on the move, shoot off the dribble, shoot off different types of dribbles, different types of catches depending on where the pass is, and go into your shot with the same form, the same base. It's part of what makes Dame and like guys like Steph so good is they can always get their like base under them, and like Dame especially. Dame's base is like elite. Just the way he can sprint into shots either direction, any type of dribble, and just always get his base consistent is huge, right? And that's something that Sharp has to learn, Sharp has to get better with. I also think, and I talked about this on drives where like I feel like his lower body needs to get stronger. Like he's super athletic, quick twitch, right? That's different than like leg strength. And we see him fall on some drives, and leg strength is also important to be able to have that consistent base.
Yeah. But yeah, feet and legs have like a ton to do with your shot. I don't know what that is. Also, like when a quarterback goes back and he's has bad mechanics and stuff like that, the throws don't have as enough zip on them. Like it's a huge thing.
Agreed. We got the trolls out in full force in our chat today. We love it. We love it. But yeah, I mean, he just has games where he shoots the three ball well or does some stuff inside the arc. That Euro step into the finger roll was nice.
Oh, I like some of his drives. Yeah.
He's just one of those guys, like, he can drive against a soft defense, but go up against a tough defense, and he struggles to do anything off the dribble.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a tough defense. It's just Miles Turner is a tough rim protector to score on sometimes. Saw him block Ant's shot off the backboard. But yeah, I thought he had some nice finishes in this game. But I did like, to Oscar's point, it did seem like he tried to get aggressive at times. At one point, he was shooting like 6 of 16 or something like that, I believe, and then he made a couple lands.
He shot 19 times.
Yeah, it was nice to see him be aggressive at times. I don't know if they were the right times necessarily, and it's still, despite it being the second season, it's still a very small sample size of Scoot, Sharp, and Anthony playing together. So if they're going to play together more, they got to figure out how to incorporate all three of them into the offense. And that's, to me, goes back to the coaching and trying to get some off-ball movements. Because if you have Anthony, like I said, scoring 28 points through 3 quarters, that should allow you to maybe run a backdoor play for Sharp or something like that to get a lob dunk or some action going to the hoop at least.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we talked about on a previous stream what Golden State would do with guys like Steph and Clay, with Draymond as the initiator back in their heyday, right? When you got 2 guys that are threats all 3 levels and athletes, like, use them off the ball off of each other. Get more creative, because if you can get Ant, Sharp, maybe even Scoot with like a backdoor cut, like those guys can jump, right? So you might be able to get them with the lob. And both those guys, you know, all those guys can turn the corner and put pressure on you off the drive. So try and find ways where you can create those scenarios for them. And it might open up one of them from 3 because teams are worried about, okay, you can't let this dude go backdoor. You can't let this dude turn the corner on a drive, right? Like, so I would just like to see Chauncey get more creative with the off-ball stuff, in that way when those 3 guys play together. He's not going to do it. It's kind of a moot point.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, right? This is more so for, like, future coach.
Let's correct that to say hopefully the next coach incorporates more of that stuff.
I'm going to just start referring to somebody as future coach, okay? So hopefully future coach can figure that out, because current coach just doesn't do it. Denny Avdia. He's turning it around, Eric. 41 minutes today, gets the start. 16 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds. 6 for 12 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3. He's been freaking good lately, doing it all. Past couple games, very impressive games from him. Had against Memphis was 7 for 16, 6 assists, 8 boards, 17 points. The game before that was Houston, where he's like 4 for 8, had 10 boards, 14 points, and 4 blocks. He shoots 40% from 3 today. He's shooting like 36% for November. We're starting to finally see the Denny Avdia that we traded for, and it's a really good player, man. And he's been arguably, I think you could make the case like the last 2-3 games, you could make the case that he's been our best player just because of the rebounding. We've needed the rebounding. Unfortunately, he can't be the only one crashing the glass the way he does. He's been really initiating and playmaking at a high level the past 2 games, 6 and 7 assists, like I said. The defense, all that stuff. But the shot making is finally starting to show up, and that's what had people up in arms with how inefficient he was to start his Blazer tenure. So really good to see him looking more comfortable, looking more confident, and making shots.
Absolutely, and his most impressive play of the night was a missed shot. That one drive where he tried to pack it.
I know.
That would have been so sweet if he finished that.
That would have been beautiful, man. I would have lost my mind.
I don't know why, because I don't know if you've seen him in warm-ups or something doing like 360s and windmill dunks and stuff. Like he didn't get up there. I don't know why he settles so much for lay-ins and stuff. I wish he would just attack the rim a little more.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Do you have any?
Yeah, I thought he had a good game. Maybe lost some gas there at the end.
He's been playing hard in big minutes. So.
When you're playing, and he took a shot to the nose. Maybe he'll be our new Nurkic, or he gets hit in the face a lot. But yeah, he also was holding his stomach area when he tried that dunk area. I don't know. It didn't seem like he got hit in there, but he was holding it. I don't know what happened, but
another core injury. Let's go.
Yeah, you get traded to the Blazers, you get a core injury. So Oprah Winfrey, you get a core injury. Yeah. Yeah, I thought Denny played really well. I don't know about playing in 41 minutes though. Like I think we gotta. I mean, I know tonight we didn't have a lot of options because we'll talk about that in a second. But I don't know if he could be a little bit more effective with a little more energy because he expends a ton of energy on the court. So you gotta, I think, give him a little bit more of a break. But other than that, I mean, that's not really a Denny problem. That's a coaching problem. That's me.
Yep, absolutely. Other players from this game, nobody else to really write home about. I mean, 8 and 7 for 10, 12 boards, had 4 offensive rebounds, but I mean, he doesn't fix our defensive rebounding issue. Did have 3 blocks. That block on Miles Turner was impressive, so nice to see him be a little bit of a rim protector for once, especially after losing 2 of ours to injury. The 4 turnovers were brutal, but nice to see him come back and at least make some shots and provide a little bit of an offensive boost.
Yeah, he had one play where he threw up that little turnaround shot that's usually pretty money, the little turn from the baseline, and he like threw it way over the rim, and then he proceeded to just walk up the court, and I think it was Sharp had to get his guy, and the defense gave up an open 3 because he didn't even cross half court on that position. So
that wasn't even the play that I was thinking about. That I thought you were talking about a different play because there's a play where I think he turned over the ball and then, or I forget what exactly happened. But basically, Indiana runs down and misses like 2 or 3 shots before they get a putback to go, and he still wasn't back in time.
Man,
like how does that happen, man? Especially you're an athlete. Like he does not run back on defense. He jogs at most.
Yeah, and against a team that likes to leak out and do that kind of stuff, it's not good. But I thought he was okay in this game. Like it wasn't other than the turnovers, it wasn't anything that like really pissed me off. But like, um, I mean, you could just tell the difference in. Um, we just we've needed this for years. It's that floor general from the center position, and you can't have one of your lowest IQ, laziest players be your floor general, and you see that when the difference between Rob Will and Klingon and those kind of stuff. So,
Yep. Absolutely. Tamani Kamara, nice to see him hit a couple threes late because he's been struggling with his shot and his confidence. He's just he has to make teams respect him, and in some of his recent games, teams aren't really doing that. And his defense is great. You know, he can still have a positive impact, but it's a lot tougher if teams can just ignore him offensively. So hopefully he starts making shots again. He did have a nice baseline cut, alley-oop dunk. I think that's going to be his bread and butter in an offense that has more shooting and more playmaking, like we saw back in the day with Mo Harkless with some of his baseline cuts. But he has to space the floor, so his percentage is still okay. Like going into this game shooting 36% from three, but he was on fire to start the year, absolutely on fire, and really fell off. The 2 games before this was 2 for 13. So in the game before that, Houston basically dared him to shoot, and he was 3 for 9 with a banked in 3. 3 games before that, 2 for 7, 1 for 3, 1 for 3. So he hasn't had like a good shooting night. I guess you could call it that today because he was 2 for 3. You know, it's small volume, but defense continues to be solid. I do think there's a couple of times where he like tried to jump a screen and got beat because of it. Like he wasn't quite to the level that we've seen him at defensively today. But I mean, we know he can defend. So
picked up 2 early fouls again, and then that leads to him not being as aggressive. Still took a charge in this game, though. I think he's either tied or leading the league in charges, so that's good. Man, it's kind of frustrating because a couple weeks ago, I think we talked about this, but it was almost like, man, I want him to start exploring a little bit more on offense, like see what he can do with the ball. Like maybe he can become kind of a connector or like a secondary playmaker with, I mean, he was showing some ability to pass the ball and drive and stuff like that. But since his shooting has fallen off, I think all his confidence has as well. He had one really bad drive where he turned the ball over, or I don't know if it counted as a turnover or missed shot or something, but he just got the ball taken out of his hands. And it's almost like, man, just play your role now. Like, you know, like go back to just being the role player, Tamani, and not trying to do too much. Because I felt like there were a couple times in this game where he just tried to do something that wasn't there. And it's like, come on, man.
He needs to learn how to use his body a little better on drives and decelerate, slow down, and like take his time, use his size, use his length. You know who does that well? Denny Avdia. So hopefully he can learn from him, because it just feels like on some of his drives it's like, okay, he's gonna try and blow past you, probably not gonna do it, and then he's going to try and shoot a shot at the rim, miss it short, you know, off the glass, that sort of thing. And I wish I want him to improve at putting his body into someone, knocking them off balance, slowing down, and taking his time to finish. Because I feel like when he rushes his finishes, they just aren't good, and he doesn't know how to finish like when he's driving super quick. So he has to figure out, like, some guys will blow past defenders and finish at the rim. Some guys need to slow down, decelerate, use their length. Both ways can be effective. I feel like Tamani tries the first way when he should be doing the second. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like Denny at times, you know, he can do both, right? Even though he hasn't finished great this year, like we've seen him beat guys to the rim. He does miss a little bit too many layups like that, but he can actually beat guys with his quickness. And then we see the deceleration stuff all the time. So Tamani just has to find a way to be able to like effectively drive and draw another defender so he can make some plays for others. And then when he does draw another defender, he has to be able to convert, and he just hasn't been. So It's a work in progress, right? Like
Mhm.
we talk about wanting him to explore more of his offensive game. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be pretty, right? It just means okay, he's going to try and do new things and expand more upon his offensive role. And oftentimes there's going to be growing pains with that. So that sort of stuff, like while I might critique it, it's not something that he shouldn't necessarily be trying to do. He needs to learn this stuff to be the best version of himself. The three-point shot, though, you hope that remains at the level that it's been at this season, because if he can at least shoot 36-37% from three on some volume and make teams guard him, then at the very least he's an elite 3-and-D role player, which is just fine considering where he was drafted. He was a throw-in the Ayton trade. While we might hope that he is even more than that, it's just 3-and-D is a very solid, high baseline for him.
Yeah, I do think off the dribble he doesn't feel comfortable when he's going fast, like going into a shot, unless he's getting like to the rim, of course, then that's easy. But I was thinking about this when you were talking, and Matherin had a play where he stopped and then did a couple of fakes and shimmies and then spun back to the middle. He missed the shot, but I was just like wondering maybe if Tamani, instead of like trying to shoot some of those times, if he just stopped and then used his length, his long arms to like spin and go to the hoop where you're under control and you've come to a stop. Like, I wonder if maybe that would improve. It's kind of like what you were saying with Denny, but the Matherin play kind of stood out to me as something he could do maybe and improve his finishing a little bit.
Yep, absolutely. Other players.
Jabari Walker is unplayable right now, dude.
Your guy Jabari, man.
He, man, I know he didn't. How many minutes did he play?
11.
11 minutes, man. It felt like it was even shorter than that, and he just. I mean, he did have that finish on an Anthony pass, but man, he was just brutal for like 3 or 4 plays in a row, and it really hurt us in this game. I think I was just like, man, he cannot play in this game.
Yeah. So, what's funny is like he was better last season. Remember, he played 24 minutes a game last season, started in 23 of them, shot 46% from the field, almost 30% from three, had like 7 rebounds a game, 9 points, right? And it was, some people started to view him in the same mold as Trendon Watford. And then I heard last offseason, and this did not end up being true, but I heard that the Blazers were going to probably let him go, and there was going to be some reason for it that people wouldn't know, and they ended up keeping him. I remember when I heard that, I was like, man, fans are going to have the same exact reaction as they did to Trendon Watford.
Mm-hmm.
But Trendon Watford is better than him. And it's funny because now if, like, Jabari was cut, I feel like 95% of the people wouldn't care. And 5% of people would care because they like him, but that's it. Because he is an archetype that just doesn't work in the league. 6'7", 6'8", ground-bound players that don't shoot the three ball well are an archetype that never lasts. It just doesn't work. When the Blazers drafted him, he was a very solid shooter in college, and the hope was, okay, hopefully he can slim up, get a little bit more mobile, knock down threes, and then can just be like a solid role player because he's like smart, that sort of thing. The problem is offensively, and the Blazers are using him as a center, as like their fourth string guy. I wish they would just play Reeve. They're using him as a center because at the 4, he's like not the quickest, a little slow, and he can't space. And you need your power forward to space unless you're playing him next to Duop Reeve. He basically...
I would have played him at center.
Yeah, offensively, he has to play in like the dunker's spot, but he can't dunk. You know? Like, he has to play as like a play finisher under the rim, and sometimes he can score around the rim, but he's so prone to getting blocked because he has no explosiveness under the rim, and he is a ground-bound center offensively that finishes under the rim. It's just not a successful archetype.
Especially trying to take it into Miles Turner. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, I was literally thinking that, like, dude, why not put Reith in the game right now? Like, at least he would space the floor and get Turner maybe out of the paint for our guards. But, like, yeah, I was begging for Reith to come in instead of Walker in this game. I don't know.
Yep. Reith, I know he can't play defense, as Kenny says in chat, but Jabari Walker isn't much of a defender at the center spot either. 6'7" in ground bound isn't going to do much at the center spot. He's not really going to protect the rim, not really going to switch out. He's probably going to be out of the league in a couple years. That's just the truth. And you know what? It's really hard to stick it in the NBA, man. So I think he can go find success either in the G League or overseas and make a career for himself playing a sport that a lot of people would love to make a career for themselves playing. I just don't think it's in the NBA. I just the archetype just does not work. It works a lot better in the Euro League or in another league. And he has to figure out how to shoot, man. Like, he wasn't supposed to come in and be a center that had to play around the rim and finish around the rim. He was supposed to be a guy that could hopefully be like 3-and-D with some rebounding and like make a smart pass type of guy. And the three-point shot just is there's been no progress his entire career. It's been bad and there's been zero progress. He's shooting 15% from three so far this season. I think that's on pretty limited attempts. He 2 for 13 from three.
At least he didn't. There was a couple times I thought he was going to shoot a three tonight. I was like, no, just pass the ball, dude.
I know, but like that's not who he's supposed to be. That's not the guy that you got excited for when we drafted.
No, not at all.
Also, I mean, I don't like to talk about this much, but he kind of looks a little bit heavier than he did even last year.
Well, he did lose some weight last year.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's heavier or he's just, like, bulking up, and that's probably not the best strategy.
That is not the best strategy. He needs to lose weight so he can actually jump higher and move quicker and play more of a power forward spot. Because he's already not that naturally athletic, so he needs to be light. He needs to be light. And when he got drafted, he had one of the highest body fat percentages in his draft class, but I said that can be a positive if he can improve his body. Like, if he can... It leaves more room for an improvement, theoretically. Because, oh, man, if he could cut that down to, like, a normal body fat percentage, how much quicker, how much bouncier is he going to be? And he shot threes in college? Like, okay, that's intriguing. But it just hasn't happened. His body is not improved the way it needs to. His three-point shot is not improved the way it needs to. And the team could cut him tomorrow, and wouldn't necessarily miss his on-court impact. And I hate to say it, man, because I like Jabari, cool guy, rooting for him. Been rooting for him, but we're seeing why he was the 57th pick in his draft.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Riley Davis says we're talking about 12 as a high body fat percentage. It was 13%, and for NBA players, yes, that is a high body fat percentage.
We're right back, Tori.
Yeah, go ahead. Go and compare it to all the other players in his draft class, and it is high. It is high. It's not high for me or you, but we're talking about professional athletes, NBA athletes. It's a little different standard. My body, your body, is not held to the same standard as Jabari Walker's body or another professional athlete's body. Except for baseball players, because you can look like Bartolo Colon and deal from the mound. So. Anyway.
Yo, back. Had to get another drink.
Oh, boy. Delano Banton, only other player we haven't talked about. 3 for 5, 2 for 4 from 3. Nice to see him hit a couple threes. 8 points in 17 minutes. Came in. I mean, he was pretty good. I was surprised he didn't play a little bit more.
He was fine in the first half. Yeah, he's kind of non-existent in the second half.
Like, if you're not going to play Ayton, why don't you just, instead of playing Jabari Walker, play Delano Banton more minutes and move Avdia to the 5, or even Kamara at the 5, because what is Jabari Walker providing you there that can't be replicated by Kamara or Avdia?
Well, he is a better, well, maybe not than Denny, but he is a better rebounder than the other guys. But
I mean, he had 3 rebounds.
Yeah,
is he that much better of a rebounder than Kamara? I don't know.
I mean, not tonight, but usually he is. And but I don't know. Those small lineups were killing us, I think, in this game. So I don't know.
I just feel like you're going small if you're playing.
He's that really small. Yeah,
you're going small if you're playing Jabari at the center spot.
And it's not like Dewap's really that tall either, but at least he's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think his floor spacing would have helped a lot with the way the guards were able to get to the rim tonight.
Yeah, agreed. I don't have anything more to say on Ben. We're going to get into our big boards. Hopefully you guys are excited for that. We're going to reveal them one by one. Okay, and I'm very curious to see what Eric has. There was somebody in chat earlier I called out for saying, like, all his takes are trolling, and he said just because someone disagrees with some takes doesn't mean they're trolling. Bro, you said Ayton can be Diet Bill Russell if we use him right. If that's not trolling, then I am worried for you.
And Bill Russell was one of the best defenders of all time. Like, what are we doing here?
Like, what are we talking about, man? That just, if you believe that, I don't know what to say, because that just seems 1,000% like a troll. Okay, you want attention? Here you go. It's pretty funny if it's trolling, and that's why I am giving you the attention. But we got to turn our attention to our big boards, Eric. Our big boards. I will just preface this by saying I have some bold stuff on this big board.
Let's see how long that lasts.
Then we'll see how long it lasts. It's very, very early. It's very, very early. And there's always guys that rise up boards. And always guys I think are like playing well or looking good that rise up boards. And I'll put them maybe I should put them higher on my board, but I won't because I care about consensus. I don't care about consensus this year, Eric. I do not care. And with how early it is, like, there's going to be some maybe wild stuff compared to consensus, but the goal is ultimately, like, we're going to get more tape on all these guys. We're going to be able to see more of all these guys, and then we can, further refine things here. Mm-hmm. And there is a lot of agreement with consensus throughout here, as well. I just want to say that, but I do have 3 or 4 players that I have my eye on right now.
Yeah, and I just want to also say that there are several freshmen I haven't had a chance to really look at yet. I didn't feel comfortable putting on there or ranking yet, so I don't know. I mean, they're not like consensus top 10 guys or anything like that, so I got to most of those guys. I just there might be a couple guys like you're like, how did you leave him off? It probably just means I haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, and I might ask you, like, if one of these guys, if you leave somebody off, like, is because you haven't seen them.
Yeah.
We can discuss that. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to go through, me and Eric are going to say our number 1 prospect, then our number 2 prospect, then our number 3 prospect. I am prepared to go all the way to 20.
I'm cool with that.
All right. And some of these guys I've watched, like, just a little bit of tape, so still definitely subject to change. But you know me, I like movement patterns and like shiftiness and being able to switch up paces, and you can normally tell that, like, right away. So some of this is based off some of that, as well as just like kind of how they're playing and physical tools and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm ready to go. Number 1 prospect. Do you still have Cooper Flagg number 1?
Yeah.
People overreacting to, like, him having some struggles in crunch time and all that, and I just don't get it. He's 17 playing in college. Like, give him a little bit of a break. He's not just going to come in and immediately dominate college basketball at 17 years old, necessarily. But
Just, I don't think it's bad, Tori, but the video did start getting choppy when you started looking up stuff. I think.
yeah, I don't know. My computer's getting slower and stuff. I need to close like Photoshop, so I'll do that, and I need to close some applications on the computer. So I'll do that right now, and hopefully it'll be fine. Alrighty. So number 1, we got Cooper Flag. Now this is where the boards start in number 2, okay? At number 2, I'll go first with this one. At number 2, I had somebody else. If you watched the last stream, you probably know who it is. But at this point in time, I have Dylan Harper as my number 2 prospect. He had 36
Told
points.
you.
36 points yesterday, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. The way he can finish is super impressive. How strong of a driver he is super impressive. The pace he plays with is extremely impressive as well. And he's legit, man. He's fun. I think he's going to be a star at the next level. Going to be one of those big lefty guards that has some success. So I wouldn't hate a backcourt of him and Shaden Sharp going forward. I think that could be a lot of fun. Who do you have number 2?
I still have Ace Bailey. I know that game last night definitely made me want to put Harper up higher on my board like you did. Man, that was impressive.
Yeah.
He's got size. He can pass the ball. He can finish well in the paint. Seems like he can jump pretty well. Has good athleticism. Seems like a smart player too. If he gets any sort of 3-point shot consistently, man, that guy could be a legit star.
Yeah, you talking about Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper?
No, I'm talking about Dylan Harper, man.
Oh yeah. Ace, we can talk about when I list them, and I can talk about my reservations. Who do you have at number 3 then? Do you have Dylan Harper?
No, I have Igor still.
You got Yegor? Cool. So we're in consensus here. I got Yegor at 3, number 12. If you guys don't know who he is, he plays for BYU. European player. I forget what country he comes from, but he's basically a 6'9" point guard and like a literal point guard, not just a forward that can handle the ball and make some plays. Like he runs their offense and has good instincts, really reads the defense well, can handle the ball well, has been shooting it well, like showing flashes of like step back threes and that sort of thing. And I just think as he continues to get stronger, his feel for the game is so well, he's just going to find ways to be able to score and creative ways in the paint to use his size and length and score that maybe he isn't doing yet. But just when I see a guy that big that has a really good skill base and really good feel for the game, I just feel like he's going to find ways to be able to just drive and use his body and figure out ways to score without relying on athleticism. And he's a guy that I could see ending up like ceiling wise being, I don't know what he would be as a comparison, but I think he'll be able, optimistically to be at least a 20-point per game scorer with 6-7 assists. And at that size, that's really impressive.
Yeah, the only pause I have is he's not getting to the free throw line like at all. 2 free throw attempts a game, and he's shooting 50% on those. Super small sample size. That's 10 free throws or something.
Yeah.
But so he's got to pick that up. But yeah, shooting 56.5% from 3 on 4.6 attempts, and shooting some on the move too, not just like catch and shoot. And then his passing ability, his defense is obviously a question mark as well, but he is averaging 2.4 steals a game and almost a block a game. So I know that's not everything, the counting stats, but he is contributing to getting in the passing lanes and stuff like that using his length. So maybe there's some hope that he could do that. I don't know if he'll ever be a good point of attack or on-ball defender, but as long as you have a guy like that who's solid on offense, and then can play within a scheme defensively and be a good off-ball defender and good positional defender, I think you're fine. So, yeah, I really like this guy so far. We'll see if it continues. Someone in chat mentioned tomorrow he plays a real team. I forgot what team it was, but he's playing a good team tomorrow, I think. I have it set up to record. I forgot who they're playing. Chat can help me out real quick.
I'm not sure. Yeah, chat. Who's BYU playing tomorrow? First person to get that answer gets a cookie. All right. Number 4. We'll talk about him since you already listened to me. I have Ace Bailey at number 4.
Ole Miss, yeah.
Yeah. I have Ace Bailey at number 4. So he just doesn't get to the rim, man. He just does not turn the corner, does not get to the rim. He shoots some extremely difficult mid-range jumpers and seems to be in love with that. Kind of worries me. But at the same time, he can hit really difficult jumpers, threes off the dribble, step back, and he's 6'10". So the upside with him is, if you can get him stronger so that he can use his body and you can teach him how to break down a defense and get to the rim, then he's like an elite 3-level scorer that could be like a 25-point per game guy with like size and a front court spot. He has a ton of upside. I worry, man. Like,
yeah,
because I could see him being a bit Jabari Smith / Michael Porter Jr.-esque, which isn't a bad player, but for a guy you're drafting in the top 5, you want him to be a star and be able to like run some offense. And he doesn't make plays for others right now, and he doesn't get to the rim. So I would like to just see more flashes of that if I'm going to have him number 2 maybe by the end of the year. Because if he's showing no flashes, it gives me too much pause in terms of him being able to actually figure out how to do those things once he gets to the league.
Yeah. I mean, still shooting over 44% from 3, though. But the majority of his shots, I think, are from 3. Let me see what percentage of his shots. Oh, no, he's still shooting 9 2-pointers a game.
Yeah, and a lot of them are going right, fade away, like, to his strong hand, which is tougher than dribbling and pulling up to your weak hand, which it's a good thing to be able to hit that shot, but you don't want to, like, rely upon that shot the way that he does, so.
See, the reason why I haven't moved him down despite the concerns you mentioned. One, I really like the way he plays defense. I think he's one of those guys who can guard multiple positions, and I'm not worried about him at all on that end. And also, just if you have a 3-and-D player and you have, I mean, still young enough to figure out some of those things, like you mentioned, the way he tries to finish and stuff like that. I think you can fix that or learn how to get better. You know, sometimes it's just as easy as learning how to move in the body you have as well. I think there's still a lot of time for him to figure those things out. One player that was kind of put into those Jabari Smith questions or like category was Brandon Miller, and I think Bailey is somewhere in between Jabari Smith and Brandon Miller. I don't think he's quite as explosive or whatever, but a lot of people didn't think Brandon Miller was that athletic either, and he's obviously put that to bed. So I don't know. I still like the ability to have a legit forward-sized player who plays defense, and if you cannot leave him open for 3 because he's a money 3-point shooter, and I think I'll figure out the rest later. That's why I haven't moved him down too much. But I understand there are some concerns, and he might never be an off-the-ball dribble kind of player.
Yep, I agree.
I have Dylan Harper at 4, so we just flip-flop those two.
Yeah, I agree in terms of shot making. I don't know, man. He has to show some more flashes there, though, for me. Brandon Miller got to the rim more than he does. So,
but Miller was like he couldn't finish early in his career.
But
Alabama,
at least he got there more.
Mhm.
Like if Ace Bailey was having possessions where like, oh, he got to the rim and missed the layup, that's better than like, oh wow, he just never ever gets to the rim at all.
Yeah,
By the way,
true.
Rutgers right now, those guys are playing on TBS. They are playing Alabama, who has a guy named LeBaron Philon. I don't know if he's going to end up on your board, but he's been a guy that's been getting some buzz as a potential first-round pick freshman. Ace Bailey in this game is 6 for 10, no threes. He's 0 for 2 from 3, so I guess it's his night. He has 13. Dylan Harper has 11 right now. That is a good game because Alabama's ranked 9th. And Rutgers is actually up 41-37. So I hope
it's a good defensive team.
Yeah, I hope Rutgers is good enough to make the tournament because they've looked a little iffy. They lost to Kennesaw State and should have lost to Notre Dame last night without their star player. Got hurt right at the start of the game, Burton. So Rutgers has looked a little rough. I don't know if they're going to be able to make a tournament, but beating Alabama would be a huge feather in their cap.
Ace is going to be one of those case studies as the year goes on to see how much he improves during the season, or if it's just going to be all projection or lack thereof. That'll be fascinating to watch all year because I know a lot of people. With how Cooper Flagg has struggled at times this year, I know a lot of people were ready to anoint Ace Bailey as the guy that they were going to pick number 1. And I don't think anyone can say that really anymore. I don't see how you can put him over him. I think that's almost like the separation there is almost a slam dunk that Flagg's going 1, and it's a race for 2 at this point. So I don't know.
The only guys that I feel like have any chance of entering that conversation are the second and third guys on my board.
Yeah.
So Demon because of his creation ability at his size, and then Dylan Harper because he's just a lead guard, big guard that can get to the rim at will and finish everything. So I think you need some element of creation and being able to get to the rim and make plays for others in order to actually enter any conversation with Cooper Flagg, and Ace Bailey doesn't really have that. So that's why Ace Bailey is number 4 on my board.
Man, I think you watched that Kansas Duke game last night, right?
Yeah.
That finish Cooper had with his left driving late in that game was really impressive, man.
Yeah, he has really impressive moments. I mean, they took him out of the game. They're the number 1 team in the country and took him out of the game. So you definitely should not hold that against a 17-year-old, right? Every time he's played higher competition, he's looked impressive outside of that Kansas game maybe. But he's averaging like 17 points per game, which is pretty dang good for a freshman. Number five. So we kind of got a consensus top 4 right now. Okay. Number 5, I want to hear yours first.
All right, you're not going to like this, but I still have BJ Edgecombe up there.
I don't hate it.
I think the pure athleticism, the way he plays, has star ability. I don't know, as we'll have to watch more to see how likely he is to become that, but I think out of a lot of these guys, I think obviously the floor might not be as high as a Dylan Harper or whatever, but I still think he might have more potential than anyone outside of Cooper Flagg in this draft, and I just can't not see that when I see him play, even though he hasn't shot the ball well or anything like that so far.
I just feel like he's an upside trap.
Yeah, it's possible.
Because I feel like where I struggle with him, and you guys will find out where he is on my board. Where I struggle with him is he seems very athleticism reliant, which doesn't really work as you progress up. And he has been pretty bad offensively so far at Baylor. He can defend, so that might save his draft stock a little bit, but 6 games, he's averaging 12 points, 6 boards, 3.5 assists. He's shooting 37% from the field, 29% from 3. And it's kind of funny because I think for maybe some of the reasons that Scoot struggled to make the adjustment to the NBA, VJ Edgecombe is kind of struggling to make the adjustment to college. And that's just because, like, not enough pace to their game. Feel isn't all the way there. But Scoot is a much better, like, lead guard and playmaker for others than Edgecombe is. He's more of a 2 guard. He's not really a playmaker for others. He can make a play, but it's not really his MO. And he's shooting 29% from 3. So if that 3-point shooting percentage improves and he's like 36, 37% at the end of the year, it's going to be a lot easier for me to have him in top 5 or 6 conversations. But given where he's at right now, I just feel like, man, if he's not like a lead point guard, if he's not a good 3-point shooter, doesn't have much pace to his game, is reliant upon his athleticism that much, how does that translate up to the NBA? What role does he play?
Yeah, I get that. I think we talked about, or we have talked about in the past, the functional athleticism. I feel like he does use his athleticism better than Scoot did. I'm not saying he's a better player than Scoot.
I think part of it is he's like a little taller too, so it's a little easier for him to do some things.
And that's why, like, I think he is shooting guard size, so I think I'm fine with him playing a shooting guard. Obviously, if you're not the lead ball handler, though, you've got to be able to shoot. So that will be something to watch moving forward. It is also, it's weird how a lot of these prospects, like Duke is just littered with prospects, right? It's hard to compare a player that's like the only player on his team to like I don't know, we'll talk about other players like that later, but it's just weird, like if any of these guys like if Edgecombe was on his own team, maybe like let's just say he went to Oregon State or something and was like the guy, like I wonder how much different he'd be looking at now.
Yeah, but I mean, he'd be playing lower level competition.
Yeah, like, no, I'm not necessarily Oregon State. I'm just saying like a team where he wasn't, because like they picked up Jeremy Roach, and I freaking hate that when they got Edgecombe. Like
I just think teams would zero in on him, and he's not like a pure point guard, and that would.
But I want to see like throughout the season how he handles that, and puts the team on his back. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I still like the way he moves. Like you talk about movement all the time. I think he moves like a player that could be a star once he figures it out. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he ever does.
Yeah, it doesn't really strike me as the shiftiest guy. It just strikes me as an athlete with the ball, which is a little different. So I don't know. I want to see him play better though. It's hard for me given how much he's struggled to have him too high when there's other freshmen that are looking freaking phenomenal. And this is the 5th player I have on my board, and that is Trey Johnson, who plays for Texas. He's, what's funny is he's kind of this is not a like great comparison necessarily, but he's a little bit of a wing version of Ace Bailey in terms of he hits jumpers but doesn't really get to the rim. But seems like a guy that could be somebody that gets to the rim. He's averaging 21 points per game in his 31 minutes at Texas. 2 assists, 2 turnovers. Not great, but like he has some passing flashes from like his high school tape, that sort of stuff. For me, it's okay, he's a dude that can go get you a bucket, much like Ace Bailey can. And if he can ever figure out how to get to the rim, he moves pretty well, like he's a solid athlete, then you got a seemingly elite 3-level score on your hands. And just seeing the way he's doing it at the college level for Texas right now is really impressive, and it's going to be super fun to watch him in Big 12 play, much like Demon, because BYU's in the Big 12 now. So he's somebody that if his shooting falls off will definitely fall down my board. I'm not like fully confident necessarily in his game given the lack of some other stuff, but just his ability to hit shots is really impressive, and I do have that hope that one day he'll be able to put some rim pressure on you.
Yeah, absolutely. I have him 6 actually, so that's the next guy on my board. Uh, but it's been really impressive with him coming right in. Anytime you're a freshman averaging 20 points a game in your first few college games, that's really interesting. And yeah, just I don't know, like you said, if the shooting falls off, it could be a different story. But as long as he keeps that up, I think he might actually rise up the draft boards
Yeah.
if he still 40% shooter at the end of the year with his size and skill set and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been really impressed with him so far.
My number 6 player is Con Knipple, and he plays for Duke. He plays alongside Cooper Flagg. I like him because coming into Duke, he was known as like a lethal shooter. He's only shooting 32% at Duke, so if that continues, then he's going to slip down my board, but I'm just assuming that's small sample size playing for Duke, playing at the next level, right? Like he's known as a lethal shooter, and he's 6'6", 6'7", has good feel for making plays for other guys, can put the ball on the floor, use his body a little bit. We saw him try some like turnaround fadeaways from the mid range against Kansas. You know, one of them at the end, he turned the ball over, didn't go too well, but I like just the ability to make that move this early in his career, and I just think he's going to be a guy that can knock down threes, do a little bit off the dribble, and make plays. And that's a really high floor role player with some sneaky upside for more. So I do like Colin Knipple.
Yeah, I was watching that game last night. My wife was laughing every time they said his name.
Me and my girlfriend were joking about that too.
um,
I told her our tanking model for him, which is hard nipples for Knipple, and she didn't really like it.
yeah, that needs some work. But um, man, okay, this is gonna sound really bad because like obviously they're similar, but do you kind of get Dalton Connect vibes from him?
Um,
Like obviously he's not a 4 year player
he
yet.
he
But
he's Dalton Connect is like an athlete. I see him more as an athlete that is quicker, can dunk. Like Knipple is more like ground bound, like solid, methodical. I think a better passer than Connect.
yeah,
But like that kind of would be the role that I see him in starting off as you build out the rest of his dribble drive game.
yeah, but like a lot. I don't know if you watch like Connect at was it North Dakota State or
No,
wherever he
I
was.
didn't.
Like he didn't. He also didn't seem like that, but he was. I don't know. You could just tell he's got a good.
Yeah,
Like, it's almost like a point guard type mindset as a forward, and obviously the shooting ability is there for both of them. But yeah, Kevin H asked why the K isn't silent. My wife asked that same question. Um, but yeah, I have trouble with players like that when they're young because I really like the passing ability, the feel for the game, the IQ, the shot making. Obviously, it's not there yet, but I mean, he is not left open at all. Like, you can't leave him open.
yeah.
So he's seeing a lot of defensive attention, even with a stacked roster. So I just I still wonder if it is a Dalton Connect esque player without the athleticism, is that good enough outside of just being a shooter in the NBA? Like, can you do enough things if you aren't super athletic? That's my only pause on
If he
him.
was
But
6'4", then I'd understand the worries a little bit more. But at six
yeah,
foot seven, like he'll be able to drive and finish and like use his body and that sort of
for
thing.
sure.
So he doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily need his athleticism as much. I just feel like the archetype of like a 6'7" shooter that has some moments off the dribble and good feel as a passer, like always ends up being good in
yeah.
today's NBA. Like, I have
Yeah,
more confidence
I can
in
see
him
that.
being a good NBA player than VJ Edgecombe.
All right.
And I just feel like people look at his archetype and think that he doesn't have as much upside, but I feel like he has sneaky upside, right? And I kind of fell into that a couple years ago with Grady Dick, and Grady Dick has been really good in his second year, still super young, right? I feel like Knipple might be that guy that we look back on where he's like a fringe all-star because he can really score the ball, shoot it, and put it on the floor, and make the right pass off the dribble. And it's just like, yeah, well, he showed all that in college. Like, it's not a surprise if that happens, you know?
Man, now you got me wanting Knipple to play in Toronto.
Yeah. Hey, Knipple would be a good fit for us, I think, just because we need the shooting. So if we
Knipple the
slip,
dick.
I wouldn't mind Knipple right now. At number 7, I have I think some people are going to see it as a very bold take, but some people might not. I'll let you go with your number 7 first, and then I'll go with mine. There's no way you have the same number 7 as me. And if you do,
All right.
I'll fall out of my chair.
At number 7, this is a guy who has struggled a bit. An international player, Nolan Traore. Um, I think, I don't know if it's just biased because I was so high on him before, because he was much higher on my board going into like the season. But I loved the way he played in the Hoop Summit and some of the other times I'd seen him prior to this season. He's still shown the flashes and stuff like that. I just think he's really smart player, really good point guard skills and all that kind of stuff. And I think he'll be fine eventually once he just learns how to play at the higher level.
Yeah, I have him at number 8 right now, and it's mostly just because of, like, Hoop Summit was the most I've watched him. You know, I've seen a little bit of tape here and there, but I watched the whole Hoop Summit, and just, like, his feel and the types of plays he was making was special. So he's one of those guys that could be prone to slipping if he continues to struggle, and I'm able to catch some of his overseas games. So I have him at number 8. At number 7... At number 7, I have Derek Queen.
Okay.
At number 7, I have Derek Queen. And so he's 6'10". I think his wingspan is like 7'4" or something like that.
Although he doesn't necessarily look 6'10" when he plays, but
Do you think he looks smaller?
I think he looks a little smaller. I don't know how much smaller, but yeah.
Yeah, so he's listed as 6'10", but has like super long arms.
Mm-hmm.
And like he's just freaking skilled, man. He's just freaking skilled. And I just think, like, he projects as a center, and people will shy away from him because, oh, man, his defense at the center spot probably isn't going to be all that great. You know, he's a little undersized, not much of a rim protector, right? And he isn't shooting threes yet. So he's shooting little over one a game, and he hasn't made one yet. So he's not really a three-point shooter, not much of a defender. That'll turn people off. But, like, his footwork, his feel, some of the passes he throws, some of the moves he makes, his fluidity, like, movement pattern stuff for a center, I just think, like, you can overlook the defensive stuff if you have a guy that is, like, an offensive outlier or very offensively gifted. And the way he plays offense is just special. And I forget what showcase it was. I think it might have been the McDonald's All-American game. Like, I've always been impressed with just, like, the way this dude moves for a big man. You have to hope, you know, he does have a 7'4" wingspan. Like, you got to hope, like, his you know, length is enough. But I think his body has room for improvement. I think, like, he can put it on the floor, kind of handle like a guard, make plays, and just the traits he has offensively in his feel for the game offensively, some of his footwork stuff is just stuff that you don't usually see out of a center this young and is really hard to teach. And I love the idea of what he could become if that's, like, fully realized. He hit a, like, Jokic fadeaway the other day where he's shooting off his right leg. He's a right-hander, shooting off one leg off his right leg and, like, fading away at the buzzer like Jokic does. And just buttery smooth mid-range jumper. I think ultimately, like, he has really good touch. Just three-point ball needs some work. I think he'll end up being a solid enough three-point shooter. And if not, I think one guy that you can kind of compare him to is Alperen Şengün. So I think he has a ton of upside, and I really like his game. There's definitely some red flags there, but just with the stuff he can do with the ball, I have him at number 7.
Yeah. Well, I'll get to my ranking of him later, but yeah, I agree. It's very intriguing so far. Just his feel for the game. Love the big man who can pass a little bit. Like to see that explored a little bit more. And yeah, he's on a team, Maryland, like I was talking about with Edgecombe, where he's going to have a chance to be the guy and see how he deals with defensive attention and all that kind of stuff. So really looking forward to seeing how he handles the rest of the season. But that is a guy who could quickly rise up draft boards.
Yep. So that's my first bold guy. 8, as I said, I have Traore. Who do you have at number 8?
At number 8, I have Ben Seraph.
Oh, okay.
Much like we were talking about with Demon, I just like the big guards who have a good passing feel, and I thought he has a long way to go still, based on what I've seen of him. But I really liked some of his passing, and anytime you have a big guard who can do that, and I think he'll be eventually a pretty good shooter as well. So I like his archetype, and so yeah, I have a run on guards here in the middle of my top 10. But yeah, I still believe that in a few years we'll be talking about him as a really quality player.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that I just worry about, like, physical tools with, like, athleticism, physical tools, like, has good feel for the game, but I think he's just going to be very jumper reliant, and I don't know exactly where he is as a shooter. So, you know, he looked good against the Blazers in the preseason, but I just have reservations about his overall upside given the physical tools, so I am lower on him, but he does have good feel for the game. I don't hate it. At 9, I have Edgecombe. I already talked about him, my reservations with him. So, you know, I have Knipple 6, Queen 7, Traore 8th, Edgecombe 9th. Who do you have at number 9?
At number 9, I have Malawak. You know, I don't know if he's the most athletic center, but he has used his size well, catches a lot of lobs. Looks like the next coming of Mark Williams out there for Duke. And I think he still has potential as a rim protector / just lob finisher, rim runner. I think we could do some things with him if he learns how to set screens well, and you know, between rebounding and defense and those kind of things. Don't know if he'll ever become much of a jump shooter or anything like that, but I just like some of the other things he provides as a big man.
Yeah, for me it's, can he shoot, can he do anything off the dribble, can he pass at all? And the thing is, the answer to that one day might be yes. He's just not showing any of it right now at Duke, but he's playing on a very talented team, so how much should that be held against him? That's what makes him a very hard scout for me.
Yeah.
I do have him later in my top 20, and if he shows flashes of those things, he will rocket up my board. Those are just some of the things that I'm looking for. At number 10, right now, I have Liam McNeely, and he is kind of like Knipple in terms of he's 6'7", really good shooter, playing for UConn right now. He's not really in charge of like handling the ball the way that Knipple is and distributing the way that Knipple is, but lethal shooter, shooting 46% from three so far at UConn. Good feel for the game. I've been impressed with some of his like finishes and just like he's a little bit more methodical. He's not an athlete, but yeah, I think he moves well enough to be a guy that you could see being able to do a little bit off the dribble. Still one of the guys I definitely have to watch more of, but he's number 10 on my board. Who do you got at number 10?
At number 10, I have Ben Seraf's teammate, Noah Singu.
I knew it. Here we go. He's on his way to top 5.
No, I don't know if it'll be much higher than this on my draft board. I just, anytime you have a legit small forward size, 6'7", 6'8"-ish, who can shoot three, it's always intriguing. Got some length and stuff. So I just like his 3-point shooting ability and that kind of stuff. Was impressed with him in the game against the Blazers, and I think he showed enough to me so far to be pretty confident that he can at least be a rotation wing in the NBA.
Yep. At 11, who do you got?
I got Asian Newell at 11.
Nice.
He's only shooting 16% from three, but he has shown the ability to shoot a little bit. And so you combine that with his energy, just a big that can like hustle all around the floor. And I like what he's doing. Usually big men, they say take a little bit longer to develop, but if he's already showing these flashes early on his freshman year, I think he's got a lot of room to grow. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Lively early on in his freshman year at Duke, where it was kind of like he shows flashes, but he's not putting it all together. And as the season went on, he was unstoppable. But like for Newell, it's tough because Georgia's obviously not a great team. He just doesn't have a Duke level team around him to help see how good he is. But so far, I like his activity and just one of the few big men outside of Queen, like you mentioned, and Malawak, who has stood out to me so far in college basketball.
Yep. At number 11, I have Hugo Gonzalez. I think he is being punished way too much for playing on a stacked Real Madrid team. Like, he's not playing much right now, and I feel like that's hurting his stock, but it shouldn't be because you got Campazzo on that team, Zanin Musa, Usman Garuba, Sergi Ibaka. I know people will laugh, but you got Mario Hezonja, who's a really good European player.
Right.
He wasn't good in the NBA, but he's really good over there, and all those guys are vets, right? So a guy like Hugo, prospect, 18 years old, whatever he is not playing much, and people are holding that against him. He played, I forget where, but he played with Yegor Demin in the past and had higher stock than Demin. Demin goes the college route, looks really, really good at BYU. His value skyrockets. Hugo Gonzalez goes and plays at Real Madrid. He probably should have followed Demin and came over and played college ball because this was one of the first guys I looked at in this draft class, and I was just impressed, 6'6", with an ability to make a play off the dribble, shoot a pull-up jumper, pass for others. Just seems like a really well-rounded offensive wing. It's hard to dive in on the tape with how little he's playing, so going to have to find some more just like tape from before. I just am not ready to move him down my board for not playing on a stacked European team, and that's what it feels like a lot of other people are doing right now.
Yeah, fair enough. I started looking into him when you started talking about him, whenever that was over the summer or in the draft process last year, and yeah, been very impressive.
Yeah, he seems like it's not a perfect comparison, him to Ben Serif, but like he has more bounce, a little bit more juice than Ben Serif, so I'm higher on him for that reason. But Ben Serif, as Elizabeth Allen says, Serif and Asengwe are playing on like the only developmental team over there, right?
Yeah.
Hugo Gonzalez isn't, so I have him at 11. Did you say you're 11 yet?
Yeah, I had Newell.
Got you. Who do you have at 12?
At 12 right now, I have Boogie Fland. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Dillingham, shooting 48% from 3, 4.5 attempts per game. Just come in and look pretty impressive as a scorer as a freshman, and I think he's going to grow a lot as the season goes on.
Yeah.
Size is the only issue why I don't have him higher, but Dillingham had the same issue.
Yeah, the one full game of his I saw. I watched him a little bit in like high school showcases, but like the one full game of his I've seen, he struggled to shoot, and it's always tough this early in the year not to like base too much off what you've seen if you've only seen one game and the player didn't play that well, right? Like with Edgecombe, I've seen a couple different Baylor games, so with Fland, yeah, he can defend, man, and seems like he has some off the dribble game there. So I still need to see more of him. At 12, I have Maluwak. Maluwach. Talked about him. At 13, I have maybe my boldest placement of this entire board.
Okay.
And I don't think you're gonna hate it. Okay. If you had one guess. This player is so impossible to guess. I don't even know why I'm having you guess, but if you had to guess, who's the type of guy I would have at 13?
I have no idea. Alex Caravan.
No.
I don't know.
At 13, I have Cam Jones.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
So...
Okay, Tori.
I know this is a guy you.
That was my guy last year. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Have you seen his playmaking this year?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was always like, he was always impressive in terms of, he's like shifty. He can score off the dribble, and he shot 40% from 3 last year. So like, okay, 3-level scoring upside and a 6'5" guard. I like that, but what else does he do? You know what I mean? And he's not that lethal of a scorer to just be like a score-only type of guy. This year he's averaging over 6 assists per game right now, up from 2 last year. Mm-hmm. His turnovers aren't even up much, 1.7 turnovers per game. 4-year player at Marquette, of course, they had Tyler Kolek, they had Oso Ighodaro, right? So you got some guys that he played off of and was just supposed to score. Seeing the way that he's passed the ball this year, seeing the plays he's made for others combined with the shiftiness and 3-level scoring just makes me feel like, man, that dude, if I'm being super optimistic, like could maybe be a lead guard. You know, probably isn't going to average 6 assists in the league, but maybe could be like a 4 assist per game guy. Could be one of those guys, one of those seniors that like sneaks up boards that wasn't in the first round to start the year, but has the shiftiness. You know, I'm a movement pattern guy, has the shiftiness. Can score all 3 levels, really good feel, love his creativity. But then just the playmaking jump he's taken this year, I've been super impressed with. So he's one of those guys, given his age, as I look at more freshmen, I might move down. But what I've seen this year combined with what he's done so far in his career, I'm feeling very confident that he will at least be able to be like a 6-man type of guard in the league.
Interesting. I like it, Tori. Yeah, this is a guy I really liked as a shooter / slasher last year, and I thought he made a huge mistake not declaring for the draft based on, I mean, I think he probably would have gone in the second round last year. But now you watch him play, and I think he's actually improved his draft stock despite being another year older. And for the record, he's going to turn 23 in February. So this is another one of those players. You know, I always struggle with this story. So I'm at 22 right now on my board. still pretty high. I thought I would have never guessed if I would have I would have bet any amount of money that I was higher on Cam Jones than you.
I
That's
know.
crazy.
I know. Yeah.
So congratulations, dude. You
I've
got me there.
I've seen the light,
Uh,
man. I've seen the light.
yeah. So I really like his ability to shoot the ball, to score, and now play make. Yeah, really impressed with what he's done so far this season. Can't wait to see if he keeps it up all season or if he keeps improving.
Yep. And that's one of those things where, like, man, I don't care what consensus is. I do not care, man. This dude looks good to me. This dude looks really good to me right now. So I'm gonna put him where I think he should go. I don't care about anything else, you know. And there's definitely still a lot of guys that I'm not as familiar with as his game, and maybe I will fall in love with, of course. But he's legit, and he should be, I think, at least in the first round of everybody's big boards and mock drafts right now with the way he's playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who do you have at 13?
At 13, I have Derek Queen, so someone we are talking about.
Nice, yeah. So the thing is, I put him like top 6 or 7 on my board a few days ago, and then like Tankathon has him at 11, and I saw Elizabeth Allen say like 9 to 13. I'm like, oh man, people are catching up. Like,
Yeah.
This is why it's good to do the big boards early, man, and because we never did big boards this early, and it would always be, I like this guy. I feel like he's really underrated by consensus, and then they'd rocket a board. So Cam Jones is one of those guys for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
And then at 14, I have Hugo Gonzalez. So,
Gotcha.
so
I got Kasparis Yakushonis, however you say his name, the Illinois guy.
He's 15 for me. So
Yeah, so we can talk about him.
Well,
So 6'6", really passes the ball, like creative.
while you talk about him, I'll be right back. Okay.
Creative, gifted scorer, but isn't shooting much, and the shooting numbers aren't that great at Illinois right now. He's shooting 49% from the field, 35% from three. He's getting 12 points per game. But like, he's a guy that coming in was looked at as like maybe he could be the best freshman in college basketball at Illinois. European player, really offensively gifted. I'll have to look at his game log. So yeah, that's why his numbers went up a bit. He's coming off a season-high 21 points, 6 boards, 5 assists against Little Rock. Not like necessarily the most athletic guy, but just seems like that big guard that can play at his own pace, really make plays for others, really pass, but then also, can shoot the three ball okay right now. Should be enough of a strength where guys have to play out on him. He'll find a way to gain a step and use his body, use his size in the lane, and find creative ways to get buckets there. He seems like one of those guys is going to be, get to the mid-range, pump fake, draw a defender off their feet, step through type of scorer. So he has sneaky upside just given his size, ball skills, feel for the game, and scoring upside. So he's intriguing and definitely a guy that I need to watch a little bit more of to get a better feel for. I mean, I say that about like every prospect right now. It's very, very early, so we'll see. Like I said, these big boards are definitely subject to change, given how early in November it is. But yeah, he's definitely a guy that I like. Elizabeth Allen says Illinois has multiple scores too. It's not easy to get bucks there. A lot of sharing. Yeah, absolutely. And they have Will Riley, who's actually next on my board at 15. But we will wait for Eric. Yeah, I think he's getting another drink. Anyway. Chat, if you have any questions, because this man dipped out on me, let me know. Arcade says, drink away the Blazer pain. Absolutely. Maybe we'll do a tankathon, because I gotta stall time when he's gone, right? So we shall do a tankathon, and we will see where we get. Do we have good luck without Eric? Let's find out. 14, Dallas. 13 is Atlanta via Sacramento. I have no idea who moved up. 12 is Utah via Minnesota. 11 is San Antonio via Atlanta. At least that pick isn't number 1 like it was a couple days ago. At 10, you got Chicago. At 9, Detroit. At 8, your Portland Trailblazers. Bummer. At 7, New Orleans moves down 4 spots. At 6, Philadelphia moves down 4 spots. At 5, we have Washington moving down 4 spots. 4 is Charlotte. 3 is San Antonio, their own pick. They moved up. Back-to-back nights with some San Antonio luck. At 2 is Toronto, and at 1 is the Utah Jazz. That is our tankathon.
Nice.
So going to the mock draft, okay. Assuming Flagg, Bailey, Harper, Demon, Edgecombe, Trey Johnson, and Nolan Traore are you're off the board, who are you drafting at number 8, Eric? I'm taking Knipple.
Yeah, I wouldn't have an issue with that right now. I think we need shooting, so.
Yeah. Have you said Knipple for your board?
Nope.
Oh, man. I never know what to do with, like I never know what to expect with big wing or, like, forward shooters because sometimes it feels like you either really like them or you just don't. It's feast or famine sometimes.
Yeah, well, see, I like them if they're good defenders, like high. If they're not and they're just shooters, then I think it's more like a mid-first type of thing. But, yeah.
It's just interesting coming off this draft where, like, arguably the 2 best rookies are McCain and Connect, you know, the 2 shooters.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
were known for their defense, you know, and they look really, really. McCain looks like a future star.
Absolutely.
He's already a TikTok star. Connect looks exactly like I expected him to look his rookie year.
Yeah.
It's just like super predictable. So, all right. So where did you leave off? Who's your next guy? I said Yakuchonis, and then I told Chat my next player.
I had him at 15 as well.
Who'd you have at 14?
Hugo Gonzalez.
Hugo Gonzalez, Yakuchonis is 15. I have reason why I told Chat the next guy is I have his teammate. I have Will Riley.
I have him 16. So
yeah, nice. Yeah. So, 6'8", can pass, shooting potential, off the dribble, scoring potential.
Lighten it up from 3.
You know what he kind of reminds me a little bit of is like a more aggressive Keyshawn George. Because like Keyshawn George had size, could handle, like could really make a play, but would disappear at times. And Will Riley is definitely a lot more aggressive. He's averaging 17 points per game in 25 minutes right now. He's shooting 55% from 3, 51% from the field. Only 1.8 assists, but like has flashes there. And I don't know, man. Like if he keeps shooting anywhere near these numbers, he's probably going to rise on my board because I like him a lot. It just feels a little early and like maybe he just has a hot shooting streak right now. So it's tough.
Man,
but
I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah. So this was tough doing it this early, you know, like you say that, but like that's what's tough, man. It's like halfway through the season, I can put a lot more stock in guys' shooting numbers, and him, it's like, man, are you really that lethal of a shooter? Because listen, if he's shooting 50% from 3 halfway through the season, he's probably going to be in my like top 6 to 7.
Yeah. The Illinois team should
They're
have
fun.
a good season too. Yeah.
Yeah. I have Asa Newell at 16. So a guy that you had a little bit earlier.
That was 16 for you?
Yeah. He's somebody that out of my top 20, I've probably watched him the least, but seems intriguing. I just wonder, like, you know, you compared him to Lively. I just think Lively's maybe 2 inches taller. So
Yeah, of course.
you know, that's where it's like, okay, can you shoot the 3 ball if you're playing the 4? Can you actually play the 5 in the league? That's just a couple of the questions that I have for him. So we've had all the same players except I had Cam Jones and have you said McNeely yet?
Nope.
So I had Cam Jones, McNeely, and Knipple. You had Serif, Asengwe, and who's the other guy you had?
Boogie Fland, I think.
Boogie Fland. Yeah, that's right. Boogie Fland is who I have at 17. Who do you have at 17?
At 17, I have Zvonimir Visic. Still very intrigued with his ability to block shots, to shoot the ball, to pass, all that kind of stuff. Definitely not as mobile as Kristaps Porzingis, but kind of that kind of player maybe, just to a lesser extent. And at 7'3", good size and all that kind of stuff. Not the most athletic guy, but I like bigs who can pass, shoot, and kind of just control the game that way.
Yeah, I'm worried about his rebounding. He per 40 minutes this year he's averaging low under 7 rebounds per game. He really blocks shots, but can he guard in space at all? Like, he might just be a drop big, which should be fine for him. Shooting the cover off the ball, 56% from 3, so that's intriguing. The passing, like, he has good feel. I just don't know why they don't utilize it a little bit more. I know they got a lot of guards there this season.
Kind of like us with Klingon, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, because this season per 40, he's averaging 1.4 assists, but we've seen flashes. Like, his first game for Kentucky, he had an insane pass. I don't even know how he saw. Like, he's somebody that I had, like, on the border of my top 20.
One of the things
I might put him at 20 because I don't like who I have at 20. I have Serif at 20. I'm putting him above Serif. I like him a little bit more than Serif. So
all right, nice.
That's where everything becomes blurry.
Yeah, for sure. Last year was a little weird. They had all those freshmen, right, on Kentucky, and then they had all these, like, upperclassmen too, and it was kind of weird seeing Ivisic, like, seemingly be in the doghouse at times. But then there would be random games where Calipari would play all the freshmen at the end of a game or something. And so I was wondering, like, man, is Calipari really into this guy? So when he transferred with Calipari, that made me think that was silly. So, like, I was like, okay, maybe Calipari's still really high on him. So that helped me, like, ease any kind of concerns I had about him, like, mentally or anything like that. So I not, like, basketball IQ wise, I'm talking about, like, competitiveness wise and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I mean, obviously he's not going to shoot 50+% from 3 like some of these other guys won't either. But man, you get a guy who's 7'3" who can shoot, pass, and block shots. I think I'll take that in the mid first round.
18, I have another somewhat bold one.
All right.
I have a Therio.
Okay.
So he plays for Arkansas. Phenomenal athlete. He's been really scoring the ball for them, 18 points per game this year. His defense, I think he has the potential to be, like, really, really good defensively. Very, very strong, averaging over 3 steals a game right now. I don't know. I feel like he has some similarities to Lou Dort a little bit, just being that, like, super strong, bulky wing. He's a taller guy, more athletic than Lou Dort. Struggles from 3 a little bit like Lou Dort did. He's 29% from 3. But just, like, with his athleticism, solid rebounder for a wing, defensive potential, and then the hope that he could have a Lou Dort type development from 3, because Lou Dort has really become a legit shooter the past couple of years. I think he's somebody that is a little bit underrated. I try to find his age. I know he came into college early. Yeah, he's barely 21 years old, so he's in his 3rd year. He's been around. Played at Kentucky the past couple years with Calipari and also made that switch like a Visich did to Arkansas. But he's still barely 21 years old despite being in his third year. So I think he's a good role player. His athleticism and the way he's been scoring the ball is a little intriguing on top of that this year.
Yeah, completely agree. I really the jump he made this year is definitely keeping me involved. I was really down on him last year. I just felt like he just completely disappeared at times, and I had myself feeling like, why does Calipari keep playing this guy over Justin Edwards and stuff like that? But I think he's obviously he's taken a huge scoring jump and hasn't disappeared so far. Another guy that followed Calipari, so he's probably high on him. So yeah, I don't know if he'll keep it up all this year, but if he's scoring the ball on top of his defense, he definitely should find his way into the first round conversation.
Yep. Who do you have at 18?
At 18, that's where I have Knipple. Just didn't really know where to put him yet, but that's where he's at. Yep.
Got you. 19, I have a Sengwe.
Okay. At 19, I have Tyrese Proctor.
Oh, you got Proctor. You're back on the Proctor train, huh?
He's been back. Good. I've never really left the Proctor train, but I think he just looks a lot more confident. He's shooting the ball better this year. He just seems to command the offense better. He doesn't have to do it all the time, obviously, but another one of those guys is tough to tell because that team's loaded. But I like the jump he made. I think he's got pretty good size for a point guard, good shooting ability, and all that kind of stuff. I like the way he's just runs the offense and the game this year.
NBA level, he just screams combo to me, combo guard.
Yeah.
I've never fully bought him as a point guard, and this year he's been shooting like insane from three. So it's one of those things, like how much stock can we put into that? If he keeps that up, he'll definitely rise. He just feels like one of those guys that's like solid but can disappear a little too much and doesn't do anything like really, really well. And that archetype is a little bit tough for me in a good draft to take in the first round. So, but I remember because he was good his freshman year, and then like a lot of people were really hyping him up going up into year two, and he disappointed people, and his stock has kind of fallen. Yeah. But he might be one of those like post-hype sleepers, So I probably have him right now like teetering first, second round. So he's if he can keep shooting the ball like this, though, he'll definitely probably be a first-round prospect. And I do agree it is tough to tell with some of these Duke guys. So I don't forget if I said I got Sengwe 19, and I put Visich at 20. I had Serif before. That is where things start to get blurry. Part of me wanted to put my guy Hunter Salas there, but he hasn't been shooting the three ball that great this year, which makes me worry that last year was just an outlier because he really struggled at Gonzaga with shooting the three ball.
Another guy that should have came out last year.
Yeah. Who do you have at 20?
I have McNeely. I have Proctor at 19 and McNeely at 20.
You said who?
William McNeely is my pick.
McNeely. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We're drafting McNeely or Knipple.
Yeah, probably.
Just because you have him so low.
No, it's because we know Cronin likes to course correct. And them trading the 14th pick and missing out on Connect for shooting, that would have definitely helped right now. That's no knock on Denny or anything like that. Yeah. But I think I could definitely see them overcorrecting and going for all shooters next summer to add to what they have so far.
That's something I think we got to put on a Post-it note. Or we just need a predictions thread actually in our Discord because typing it is a lot quicker. So if any of our mods are here, we have a light stream tonight. No surprise, early game, day before Thanksgiving, fully expected. But if we have any mods in here, jot a note down. We'll make a Discord thread, and then after I can put it on a board just because I want to do that. But I really don't feel like writing all that out right now. All right, that is top 20. I'll just say like intriguing players that I need to see more of. Carter Bryant is a sleeper. I just think I haven't watched enough Arizona. Also, he's coming off the bench, not doing a whole lot, but athletic, 6'8", moves well, has some off the dribble upside, tries to make the right play. I like that. Feel free to offer up any other guys that you think are intriguing and could rise.
Yeah, there's a group of...
Well, I'll just say Janai Broom has been playing insanely well, and I could just see him being like a good offensive center in the league.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a little undersized, but he's been phenomenal and really crafty. So I think he could be like a sixth-man bench big. I think like right now, if I had to fill out my top 30, Janai Broom would probably be at the like back end of the first round for me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's Donnie Freeman at Syracuse. I want to see more of Drake Powell. I haven't watched North Carolina too much. I watched a little bit last night, but and then there's some like there's some international guys too, but I haven't really gotten too much into them unless they declared last year and are back again. Isaiah Evans on Duke is a guy who's get lost in the shuffle, but he's a guy that can really shoot the ball too, and maybe he kind of reminds me of Cam Jones last year, a little bit. I don't know if his playmaking skills are that good or not. And then I don't really know how to pronounce his name, Jaleel Bethea, freshman from Miami. Want to see more of him. I haven't really gotten a good feel for his game yet.
I don't think he's playing a ton right now.
Is he not?
How do you spell his last name? I'm trying to find his stats.
Bethea.
Yeah. So he's playing 12 minutes a game right now for Miami. Yeah. So he feels like a 2 to 3 year guy that maybe sneaks his way into the lottery in a future draft.
I kept seeing him on a lot of mocks, and I was like, "What?" I haven't seen much of
his shooting form's kind of weird. I don't know. He feels like one of those guys that like is mocked as a first round pick that becomes like a 4-year player that then like is a late second or undrafted.
Mm-hmm.
The North Carolina freshmen, both of them, I saw really high on mock drafts and before the season. Ian Jackson and Drake Powell, and both of them are slipping mightily. There is a play against Auburn where like Ian Jackson catches the ball on the wing and Drake Powell's in the corner wide open and has nobody within 20 feet of him, and Ian Jackson just starts like isoing and just gets tunnel vision for like 5 seconds. He had like 5 seconds to make the swing pass to the corner to a wide open Drake Powell. And dude just got tunnel vision, then passed it back to somebody else. And it was just like, dude, how do you not see that pass, man? For like a 6'4" guard, just that was kind of scary, man. Not to overreact to one play, but that was scary. So he seems like undersized scoring guard that maybe isn't all that good at scoring. I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick. Drake Powell is... Even when I watched his tape, like just some scouting video on him when he was like projected in the lottery on a lot of mock drafts coming into the season. Watched some scouting tape on him. I didn't really get it. Doesn't really have much of an off the dribble game and feels kind of passive. And so far this season, he's been extremely passive and just like completely invisible. For North Carolina, I think he is a multi-year guy. He's averaging He's playing 20 minutes a game, but he's averaging 4 points per game, 4 rebounds, like under an assist, shooting 33% with it. Neither of those freshmen, I think, will be first-round picks, even though they were mocked as that to start the year.
And then one other guy, Mackenzie Mbako from Indiana, shooting over 50% from three after only shooting 34% last year. If he can obviously keep that above 40% this year with his scoring ability, I think that he doesn't shoot a ton of threes, less than 4 a game, but if he's improving his shot that much on top of his scoring ability, I think he's an intriguing prospect as well.
Yeah. And then there is a player that I know I've seen him play, but I've never really paid attention to him, and he's not on like any big boards, any mock drafts that I've seen, but this is just more of a like statistical intriguing thing. So do you know who Kobe Brea is?
It doesn't sound familiar.
He played at Dayton the last
he's on Kentucky, right?
He's now on Kentucky.
Yeah.
He's listed at 6'6" on Sports Reference. He's listed by Fanspo as 6'7".
He's an older player too, right?
Yeah, but for his career, he's a 45% three-point shooter. This year in 6 games, shooting almost 6 3-point attempts per game. He's shooting 67.6% from three.
Jeez.
So, like, for a 6'6", 6'7" guy, he might be the next Sam Hauser.
Yeah.
I have never paid attention to him. That's just like, you see that shooting percentage this year and then on his career at a listed 6'6" or 6'7", that's kind of intriguing to me, right? So, somebody to pay attention to because he plays for Kentucky, so he plays for a legitimate team.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that percentage, dude. It was like, where'd this dude come from? Because he was on like the big board list for Fanspo, so I looked into him because I was looking for guys like Phylon isn't on there, and I know he's been getting some buzz, but he was awful last Alabama game, and this game he hasn't really done much. By the way, there's 9 minutes left in this Bama-Rutgers game. Bama's up 6. Phylon is 2 for 2, 4 points. Dylan Harper's 7 for 13 and 10 for 11 from the free throw line. He has 24, so trying to have another 30 piece. Ace Bailey, 7 for 13, 0 for 2 from 3, has 15. Did you watch the end of that Notre Dame game last night?
I have it recorded. I didn't get to catch the end.
Bro,
I saw what happened, but...
Oh, you saw Alaco?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. That was crazy. That's what college basketball is fun because guys you've never heard of before will just randomly like hit like 3 straight threes, just insane clutch shots, and it's just like, dude looks like an accountant. It might be an accountant, like who knows where he plays professionally, but you know that's the fun part, the atmosphere and all that. That's why I enjoy college ball.
That's right. I got a ballot. I'm headed to Topgolf, so.
Oh, nice. Have fun. Ditching the stream for Topgolf.
Well, I mean, it's over, right?
We go under 100 concurrent viewers, and Eric ditches us, chat, so...
Sorry.
Shout out to those of you in here. It's all good. Enjoy yourself. I'm going to be out here anyway.
Yeah.
Hopefully you enjoyed our big board. Blazers lose to Indianapolis.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yep, enjoy your Thanksgiving. See you later.
Happy Thanksgiving, Tori.
See you. You too. Bye. All right, we're going to wrap up the stream. Let Eric drive. No, Eric should not drive. Eric, please do not drive. He bowed out so quickly. That took me by surprise. Anyway, that's our big board. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Light stream today. Well, we streamed for more than 2 hours, but, you know. Leave a like on the way out. It helps the channel. Our schedule coming up on Friday. The Blazers play Sacramento at home. On Sunday, that'll be a giveaway night. And we might just give away spins on the wheel to anybody who's in chat. And that game's against Dallas. On Tuesday, I want to launch our winter merch. I'm just not sure if that's going to be ready. Designs are in progress. Just my designer is taking his sweet time on the design. Friday, the 6th, we have a shot night. So that's our upcoming schedule. Things get light in December. The Blazers have 4 games in 15 days, 2 of them being Cup consolation games that aren't yet scheduled, but I think they're going to be the 12th and 15th of December. Opponent to be determined. And at the end of that stretch, we'll have big board number 2 on December 19th. All right, so hopefully you guys are enjoying the event nights. Make sure to join our Discord. You can see our schedule and all that. Jimmy, that was not the plan, but listen, we can put like Eric's headshot on some boxer briefs if you want with the Blazers Uprise logo. You know, I'm sure the woman in your life or the future woman in your life would love those. Anyway, Blazers lose. They compete. They play the Kings at home. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if they can get that win. We're out of here. Shop Bet US. We'll catch you Friday night. No picks against the spread or Blazers Uprise. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, so everybody enjoy your Thanksgiving. Enjoy your holidays. And I'm out of here until next time. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.